Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools. If it's the sport you care about, we're talking about it. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press, 106 on FM, 1390 AM, and 1069thefan.com. Eric Frandsen, Ajay, Salvesen. Hope you're enjoying your Friday. A lot to get to today. A very full sports weekend that we need to cover, preview, and we need to recap some games yesterday as well. If you want to be a part of the show, you can always text in at 435-339-0321. Again, that's 435-339-0321, or call in at 435-752-1069. Message and data rates apply per contract of your service. A lot to get to, like sports-wise, but Eric, I want to take just the first opening few minutes, and this is something I like to do. I learned it in Salt Lake, and so I did it last year. I'll do it again this year, and I think we did it 2 years ago as well. A chance to remember, obviously, today's September 11th.
Yes.
New York City. The attacks that were done upon
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania.
So the Pentagon in Washington, D.C.
And forgive me because I have such a bad memory, and I'd love to hear from our listeners as well. The question is, where were you? What were you doing? So on and so forth. For me, I was a sophomore in high school. We had just gotten done watching film, preparing for Box Elder at Box Elder, and then we turned it on to the TV. And you saw this plane go into a building, and I thought it was a movie. Seriously, I honestly thought it was a movie. And then I walked out of the office where Coach Rod Erickson was, and I just felt different. Like something didn't feel right. And then, of course, the announcement came to our speaker, or intercom, or whatever that is. Explained to us what had happened, told us to turn off the TVs to focus on class, which was going to be extremely hard to do for a lot of people. And I personally didn't know anybody who was in New York at the time. I didn't know anybody personally who was in the tower or anything like that. But I have friends who say they've had family members or relatives or friends of some sort that were there. And that's got to be a harrowing experience. So for me personally, thank you to those who have given their lives since then. And thank you to those who have told us their story and how they survived and what the country means to them, and my condolences to those who are now celebrating the anniversary of 19 years of without their loved ones, whoever they might be. That's got to be tough. That's the toughest thing, is those who lost loved ones. It's 19 years now, and they see it all over the TVs. They see it all over the internet. They see it everywhere they go. That's got to be tough for them. So.
For me, it was the last day of my internship. Technically, actually, it was the second to last day. But because of everything else that was going on, they're like, okay, yep, you're done. But it was the second to last day of my internship. I still went in that day. I was interning with Channel 2, actually, in Salt Lake City. I had been there, like, doing my internship for, like, 2 months. That day, I couldn't get in the building. It was in total lockdown. I knew what was going on that morning. My shift was in the afternoon and the evening with the evening newscasts, and I could not get in the building. I mean, there's never been a problem before. I would just walk right through, go to where we need to be in the studio, and get everything ready on the set. I had to like do a buzzer. There was a camera. Like, who are you? Like, well, I'm an intern. Well, who do you report to? It was like this crazy thing. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even get in this building where I've been here for like 2 months, coming almost every day. So it was really weird because everybody was on such heightened alert because we didn't know. I mean, are there going to be more attacks? Are they going to hit other locations? Media outlets were really concerned because they could be a potential target. It was a really crazy day. I got woken up, got a phone call from my parents saying, hey, you got to turn on the TV. We're under attack. I'm like, what are you talking about? Pulled me out of sleep, turned it on, and I couldn't move from the TV until I knew I needed to get to the station because I knew they were going to need extra hands with everything going on. Turns out I was an afterthought. They didn't care about the interns. And then it's just talking to my superiors there, and like, do I come back for my last day? And they're like, you know what? It's going to be so crazy around here for the next who knows how long. You're done. Don't worry about it. Go home. But that night, being in a news station in that environment was surreal. Just trying to make sense of all the news that was coming in, what was trying to stay on top of things, how were locals reacting to it. Crazy day. And it blows my mind. Next year, it'll be 20 years. And it just doesn't seem like it's been that long ago. I had the opportunity a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, to visit 9/11 Memorial in New York City.
Oh, that's cool.
And we saw several different things while we were in New York. It was just my wife and I. We saw several different things, but by far, that was the thing that we refer to the most, going there. It's not like it was enjoyable and, hey, that was cool. Let's take the kids. That'll be fun. But it was impactful. The way that it was structured, the way that you experience it, the way that you see how things were in New York, just crazy.
Yeah, again, it's crazy as what you said. It'll be 20 years next year. That's amazing. Still feels like yesterday for so many of us. So again, thank you to all those who have served our country and protected us since then, and before that, I should say. Thanks to those who have continually led us, and again, condolences to those who are mourning on this day for losing a friend or a loved one in that incident. That's tragic to say the least. So, all right, Eric, sports. We got a lot of it. A lot of sports going on. NBA recap from last night's game, Lakers-Rockets. It seems like the Lakers have figured out the Rockets offensively, and that is a bad thing for the Rockets. We had a very ironic thing where a guy named House has been evicted from his hotel.
He's just getting an early start on his locker cleanout.
Boy, he sure is. We'll get to that in just a bit. Region 11 gets into Region 11 play. Some big games today. A couple of trap games that I want to get to. We'll talk a little bit more about that and what it could lead up to a very imperative, important showdown next Friday night that I think the Valley will be keeping all their eyes on. NFL started last night. Didn't go so well for one team, and boy, another team looks like they are just in mid-season form. We'll get to this weekend's games, especially a key one in New Orleans in about 2:25 Mountain Time. You'll hear that game on this very station. College football starts this weekend. So, again, a lot to get to, and we're grateful to have you be a part of the show, however and wherever you are joining us from here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, and 1069thefan.com. Hey, let's start with last night's game, Eric. Rockets... trying to get back on to get the ship righted, if you will. Playing the LA Lakers are down 2-1. Westbrook just took himself out of a game, or took his team out of a game in game 2. Or is that game 3? Sorry, so it's 3-1. So is that game 3? 3 games.
It was game 2, really.
Okay. Dude, I still struggle with that. I just want you to know.
He wasn't too bad in game 3.
No. Final score, Lakers 110, Houston Rockets 100.
And it wasn't really that close.
No, heavens no, it wasn't. Morris, Davis, James Green, and KCP are the starters for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, lineup change. They started, the Lakers decided to start Morris, which was an interesting change. And Kuzma came off the bench. Rondo continues to resurrect his old self. And they didn't even play Dwight Howard. So it was interesting how the Lakers kind of changed things up. They didn't even play JaVale McGee either. So they tweaked their lineup a little bit.
And it worked.
And it worked. And I got to be honest, I don't like the Lakers as a team, not because I don't think they're a good basketball team. I don't like some of the attitudes of some of the guys that are there. But that is a franchise that is figuring things out and making adjustments, and they continue to get better and better the deeper they go into these playoffs so far.
Davis had 29 points, 12 boards. LeBron James finishes 1 assist shy of a triple-double. And as you mentioned, Eric, it was vintage Rondo. This is Boston Celtics 2009 Raja Rondo. In 29 minutes, the old veteran had 11 points, 10 boards, 8 assists, 2 steals. He did have 3 turnovers. I think 2 of those were not his fault, though. Alex Caruso, the White Mamba, had 16 points in 30 minutes on 5-9 shooting. Every starter for the Lakers except one, that being Morris, scored in double figures. Again, Davis had 29, James had 16, Green had 10, as did KCP. James also finished with 15 boards and 9 assists. On the other side, Tucker, Covington, Westbrook, Gordon, Harden were your starters, and Westbrook, Gordon, and Harden finished in double figures, but all of them, well, actually 2 of the 3 of those, finished in the minus category. 25 points for Westbrook in 41 minutes. He was 8 of 16 from the field, 3 of 8 from deep. He also had 3 assists and 3 boards. Harden had 21 points. He was 2 of 11 from the field, 1 of 6 from deep. He also had 10 assists and 4 boards. And then Eric Gordon had 19 in the losing cause. PJ Tucker, who starts in 33 minutes, doesn't score a point. He went 0-4 from the field, 0-2 from deep. Had no assists, no steals, and 3 boards. Just not a good night for him. Robert Covington with only 3 points, 24 minutes. He was 1-2 from the field. Eric, that kind of starting production from especially 2 starters to combine for 3 points doesn't do you like any good against a quality starting lineup like the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, it just the Lakers have amped up their defense.
Yeah.
And they're really getting after it. Russell Westbrook, as we've talked about, he's kind of hot and cold. He sometimes makes his own shot because of how he can attack the rim and get to the free throw line sometimes. But we kind of know what he is and what he's going to do. But what's really blows my mind is James Harden. I mean, since the fourth quarter, or at least since the second half in Game 3, he has been ice cold. Most of his points are only coming at the free throw line. 16 of his 21 points were at the free throw line last night. He was 2 of 11. If you're going to be this MVP guy, if you're going to be this gamer, this alpha, this guy that's going to take your team to the promised land, you can't go 2 for 11 in a game that's super critical and a chance to even it up or go down in a real deep hole. Harden has really struggled in the last game and a half against the Lakers.
Yeah, Harden is... In fact, I think, like I said, and you mentioned this as well,
he's shying away.
Though, yeah, and the Lakers have figured out, after the second half of Game 2, they figured out how to play defense on the Rockets. What you do is you make them, you guard like crazy on the perimeter, and you make him go to the hole and have to go against Anthony Davis, go against LeBron James, go against JaVale McGee or their other big men. I know JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard didn't play yesterday, but even KCP is a force underneath. And they decided to take away anything on the perimeter and make him go to the hole and challenge him at the basket. And it worked to perfection. It worked so well. It made James Harden extremely uncomfortable because Harden lives and breathes and dies outside the three-point line. All night, every night. That's what he does. Russell Westbrook does like to create, but if he has an open look, he's going to take it from the perimeter. He didn't have any open looks last night. I mean, they were taking everything away from him. And that might explain why P.J. Tucker was not at all productive, because P.J. Tucker likes to live in the corner, right? When James Harden gets that double finally, he can go to the rim, find P.J. Tucker in the left or right corner, and let him take a three. But again, all that was taken away last night. They were put into a very uncomfortable position where the Houston Rockets offense was, and this is your result, 110-100. And again, as you mentioned at the start, wasn't even that close.
I mean, the Rockets made a push in that fourth quarter to try to close it and come back on it, but the Lakers made some key plays to kind of hold them at bay. But the real story of this game was the second quarter. The Lakers outscored them 31-19. They just totally dominated them offensively and then limited Houston defensively. Houston, their style, teams, they can be so dangerous with their style of play that teams try to match that small ball with who they have, and it changes fundamentally most of these teams who they are and how they operate. So Houston has an advantage. The Lakers kind of tried that Frank Vogel has said, yeah, we've experimented with smaller lineups periodically through the season, but I think the Lakers have just dialed in more with who they are, and they know that they've got some incredible skill guys that are pretty big that can do some things that Houston just cannot match. So it's play to your strengths. Yes, you have to try to adapt a little bit to your opponent, but in the end, play to what you're the best at. And Houston can't compete with what the Lakers are best at. And I think that's what it came down to and has come down to in this series.
By the way, news came out, speaking of the Rockets, as you probably already heard at the top of our hour. Mr. Daniel House had a unwelcome guest into his hotel room, and because of that, Mr. Daniel House is now going home to his house. The NBA released the following statement, quote, "The NBA has concluded its investigation of a recent violation of campus health and safety protocols. The findings are that, 1, Houston Rockets forward Daniel House had a guest in his hotel room over multiple hours on September 8th who is not authorized to be on campus, and 2, no evidence was found that other players or staff had contact with the guest or were involved in this incident. Mr. House is leaving the the NBA campus and will not participate with the Rockets team in the additional games this season. If you want to cross out that final line, will not participate in the Rockets' exit interview with the LA Lakers tomorrow night."
So it adds some clarity because earlier there were reports that this was a test worker who was already on campus, was regularly on campus doing COVID testing. But now it adds some clarity that she came from outside of the campus, and as we know, it's a big no-no. And he's going home. So
it's just so ironic.
It
though,
surprises me that you over the last couple of weeks here, you've had an opportunity to bring someone in. You've had the opportunity to bring in a loved one or someone of relations that you've been missing for the last couple of months. So there shouldn't be a need to bring someone in from the outside that hasn't already been cleared.
This mind boggles me. Someone would be that dumb to do it.
Maybe he just doesn't have that special someone, and he's been looking for a while.
He's getting his magic chicken wings. Hey, really quickly, before we move on to the Nuggets-Clippers game, which begins in 12 to 15 minutes, and then, of course, Game 7 tonight, dandy one should be Kyle Lowry and the Toronto Raptors versus Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. Both teams' legs are absolute jello at this point, if you want to be honest here.
Are you surprised the tip times for these games?
No, in fact, so when I asked you earlier, what time is the Raptors game, you said it's probably the earlier game. And I was like, Game 7 between those two teams? No way. That's your primetime game right there, folks.
Only because it's still later in the East Coast.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, if you're in Los Angeles,
yeah,
the Clippers are going to tip off at 3:30.
But
so it's a closeout game for them.
But even
I agree.
Clippers
the
fans,
Celtics-Raptors, then that is a bigger game.
Yeah,
that's 9:00 Eastern. But I just thought the Eastern team would go earlier. But
some pre-NBA / college draft, draft workout information's coming out. Want to get to that just really quickly before we get back to the NBA and their playoff games. First of all, John Rothstein is reporting several conferences in college basketball are planning important calls and meetings for next Thursday. Now remember, Eric, the Division I Council's decision for a start date is Wednesday.
Yeah, the Division I Council is supposed to make some important decisions regarding winter sports, men's and women's basketball, football in the winter or the spring, and other winter and spring sports. So a lot could come as a result of these decisions that are being made or proposals that are being made on September 16th. And it definitely affects when college basketball could get going. And what's that going to look like?
Yeah. And so, of course, Shams is reporting that the NBA is planning for a draft combine process beginning later this month with 2 parts. In mid-September to early October, it will be an in-market medicals and on-court virtual interviews. mid-October to the draft date, which will be around November 18th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, they pushed that back.
Is in-person interviews with no workout. So it's going to be a completely different way to evaluate and look at players. Dennis Lindsey mentioned in his Media X interview that it's more difficult because you gain so much, and I believe NFL coaches and GMs also communicated on this. It's so much more difficult to be able to gauge a person of, demeanor, personality, behavior, so on and so forth on a Zoom interview. When instead when in person you can have these very up close and personal conversations, ask personal questions, so on and so forth. It's just different.
Well, and the big thing for these, the way that these workouts have worked out in the past in the NBA, you can have somebody that you're interested in, somebody else that you're kind of interested in, but you'll invite a player in, and then you'll bring in somebody that's maybe you're not really going to pursue, but you think that person's you want to see how your main guy is going to react to this other type of player in a one-on-one situation or in a couple of sets. So you want to put them in different scenarios and run them up against some guys that we know we're not going to get a chance to get this guy, or we really don't think he's going to be the one we like, but we like how he plays this style, and we want to see how our guy deals with that. And the personal workout is what the Jazz found out about Donovan Mitchell. It was through the personal workout that they realized this is somebody we have to have, and everybody's going to have a non-disclosure. You cannot talk about this. And I don't think that the Jazz they may not have drafted Donovan if they would not have had that personal draft workout. Because you can put them through different drills and say, okay, do this. Okay, now do this. Now react to this. And you can continue to throw things at them and kind of see where their limits are to see how well they can adapt and absorb information. And that's hard to do just looking at tape sometimes and just relying on a Zoom interview when you can't work them out in your facility against sometimes your guys, and just to see how they react and what their body language is.
Now, Adrian Wojnarowski is now reporting he's of ESPN. There is still no clarity on when the 2020-21 NBA season will start, but the league has told teams to expect an 8-week advance notice of a proposed opening night of this season. Now, we've heard that the season most likely will not start any time before Christmas Day. They said before Christmas Day. I still have the gut feeling that they will have opening night, or at least a series of games on opening night, which would be on Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's looking more likely that the NBA is going to be starting on Christmas Day. There was some earlier thought that started in December to try not to screw up the following year's calendar too bad, but I think that they're just trying to make sure they get a season in next year, period. And so they want to make sure they get all their ducks in a row, make sure teams have enough downtime in between, make sure they can properly do free agency, properly do a draft. And so it looks more likely that December 25th is going to be your start to the NBA calendar. The real question is, does that become the new normal for the NBA?
Yeah,
it's been something that's been kicked around for a while, but that causes problems for other things. Like if that happens, they're going to be playing games through the summer next year, and that eliminates any NBA player from participating in the Olympics.
Oh. Okay, so wait. So the other solution would be shorten the season, right? Do you play 60 games? Or is that shortening it too much? Or 50 games?
I think they're going to try to do a full season, but I don't know.
That's too tough.
Then
in that case, it is the new norm.
If you want to try to get back onto a regular calendar, you'll have to shorten the season somehow.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You do a home and home,
asking too much
from the other conference, and then you play everybody in your division, a home and home, and then I don't know, maybe because there's sometimes in the Western Conference you'll play teams 3 times. Maybe they just limit it to just home and home. You play one game at your place, one game at their place, no matter who the team is, no matter what the conference is.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. Do you think that there will be fans at the NBA games?
I think that there may be some arenas that will limit it. Some may not allow it, but I don't think it'll be full fans in the stands.
It was weird looking at Arrowhead Stadium last night. Like a place that is it's one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. And just to see sporadic of fans here, there, upper deck, it was just odd. It didn't look right. It didn't feel right. And by the way, the NBA is still tentatively targeting a November 18th draft date, but that date could still move. Plans continue to center around a virtual draft setting that would allow teams to have war rooms at their facilities. You know, the NFL did it right. Like, I thought they did a good job. Copy that as much as you possibly can. I think that might be the best idea.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are big. Football arenas are big. You can spread people out and still have a couple thousand people, several thousand people there in the arena. But it still didn't have the same feel. They had to still pipe in some crowd noise and things like that. But it was better than what we saw last Monday when BYU played at Navy and there was nobody there.
Yeah, that felt weird.
It just felt really weird,
especially
really quiet.
At Navy.
It was really odd.
Hey, so really quickly, I don't mean to jump the train here just sporadically, but does BYU got Army now? Because they have a bye week, is that right? And they play Army?
If I remember correctly, BYU does not play this weekend, but they play next, and they do play Army.
That's going to be a tougher task because Army is not only they'll have 2 games underneath their belt, but they'll have actually practiced hitting and tackling.
They'll actually do tackling
drills.
So
this won't be Madden on rookie mode for you.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, let's
pour some cold water on those BYU fans who are all
oh my gosh
in a dither. They're gonna be so awesome.
National championship, here we come.
I'm going to the playoffs.
Okay, I'm telling you right now, book it. If they go undefeated this season, they beat Army in Houston. Expect to hear it.
Oh, we'll hear it, but they won't go. They won't go to the playoffs.
No, but they won't go. But I'm telling you. Like, if Clemson has 1 loss, Alabama has 1 loss, LSU, Georgia, and all these powerhouse teams all have 1 or 2 losses, and BYU's undefeated, despite Alabama's loss being to LSU, despite Clemson's loss being to Notre Dame, just know that you're going to hear BYU's 8-0 record versus Army, Navy, Houston, Liberty, UMass, Troy, that it is qualified to be in the college football playoff. Can't wait. I'm so excited for that. Maybe we'll do a full dedicated to BYU football show.
Maybe we should put BYU football games on this station.
You know what? We don't. Eric, you just oh jeez. Don't give me that stupid grin either, because I know where you're going with that. We're gonna cover the Cougars.
They're playing games.
Benjamin Criddle is going to be joining our show. Greg Rebel.
Hey, another quick update about the NBA.
Yeah,
Shams is dropping a lot of stuff on us on the news.
Him and
dump
Woj
here
is
on
going
Friday
at
afternoon.
it.
Yeah, the NBA has informed teams that for the 2020-21 season, it prefers in-market competition with an amount of fans and reduced travel instead of current bubble structures.
Wait, what is in-market competition? Sorry, I'm not comprehending that well.
So no bubble. So you play games at your home arenas, but reduced travel. That's what I'm curious about. Probably it would be limit the number of games that you play.
Oh.
And maybe they do it so that if you're an East Coast team, you come out and you hit a couple you do like a road trip, hit a couple spots, go back, and then later you hit a couple others, go back, but you don't not going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth a lot. So
is that possible though?
I mean, they already do kind of different East Coast road trips and whatnot for the Jazz, but maybe it's just even more consolidated. So I don't know, and maybe that means that, like we talked about, they don't play as many games, and maybe you don't play every team. I think it'd be hard to do that, but maybe there are situations where the Jazz don't play the Boston Celtics or the Toronto Raptors because they're so far away.
So they need another 2 games to make that up, right? To make their 82-game schedule.
Well, I don't think they do an 82-game schedule.
The league is aiming for an 82-game schedule, according to Shams, but he says that is still very much fluid. I would say so. All right, let's take a break. Coming back, we'll preview a game that is about to hit tip-off here in just a few minutes, Clippers and Nuggets. And then, of course, we'll preview tonight's game, Celtics-Raptors, Game 7. Winner gets the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. Full court press. More next.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wees T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
Sorry, I was kind of getting sick of the old music, so I had to change it. Eric Frandsen, Ajay, Salvesen is the Full Court Press. 106 FM, 1390 AM, and 1069thefan.com. Thanks for joining us and participating in our show, however and wherever you're doing so. Hope you're having a good Friday. Eric, Nuggets Clippers here, tip off in just a few minutes. This one looks like to be a gentleman's sweep. Clippers up 3-1 right now. I felt like the Clippers got the Nuggets' best punch when the Clippers were up 18. Nuggets came back, tied at 48. A minute and a half later, Clippers go on this insane run where they shut down the Nuggets offense for 4 minutes, about give or take, and go on a 21-5 run to put it away. Kawhi Leonard was sensational. He had 30 points, 11 boards, 9 assists, 4 steals, and the Clippers never trailed in the game. I feel like that was Nuggets' best punch to give, and I don't feel like this is the same. This Clippers team is not the Utah Jazz. This is a much different, hungrier team. They smell blood in the water. The franchise has never been to the Western Conference Finals in its history, so they want to get there. That's their goal to get there. That was their expectation to get there, and I think they take care of business today. What do you see? What are your keys? What are you looking for here?
Well, obviously, the key here is getting the ball more to Michael Porter Jr. in the second half.
Yeah, geez, my goodness gracious.
Come on, he was effective in the first half.
Don't.
He never touched the ball in the second, so...
There's a reason why. Again, Eric, okay, so are you that guy? Are you the church ball guy or the pickup ball guy who doesn't play defense on one end?
Come on, I got a hot hand.
Screams for the ball. Give me the ball.
Keep feeding me.
White chocolate. Yeah.
Ultimately, you win the game by scoring more points than the other team, so give it to the guy who's going to give you offense.
Hey, look, let's start there. Does Michael Porter Jr. sees minutes reduced, or does he see less touches?
Nah, nothing will change there. I think they'll give him a talking to and an explaining of just, hey, this is what we do. This is why we do it. You can help this team by helping us execute this. Whether he falls in line with that or not is up to him. But I think the real key is whether or not Jamal Murray will get himself going.
Yeah.
The Clippers have been very effective at not allowing him to get in rhythm and get any kind of momentum. If he can manufacture a way to do that, they might survive for another game.
Well, the thing is, what they're doing is what the Clippers are doing to Jamal Murray is they're sending a backside defender to double every time. And it's one thing to send a backside defender. It's another thing to be that second defender, be Beverly, Paul George, or Kawhi Leonard. Then then it's just a monster to deal with. He was limited to 6 of 15 shooting. He had 18 points, 7 assists for Denver, but again, he's just exhausted himself on the offensive end because
he had to work really hard for that. Most of it came all in the second half.
Yeah, and he's not getting the calls. I feel like that he got against Utah. He goes to the hole sometimes and does draw contact and doesn't get those calls.
I can believe that as well. And, Michael Malone's whining, we don't get the calls. Well, you don't play a style of basketball that lends itself to getting the calls. When your big center is flailing about like a dying fish on the shore, it's hard to always think, is he really suffocating over there or is he just acting? So I think that part of it is just their style of play. They're not a tough team. They're not an aggressive attack the rim all the time, force the refs to make a call type of team. So, but they did change a little bit against the Jazz when their playoff season was on the line. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what kind of adjustments they make today. That's just tipping off here just any minute now.
By the way, the Nuggets, after the Nuggets actually so far, in this series combined, Eric, they're shooting 39% from the field. Currently, right now, 39% from the field. Again, it's not really bad shooting by the Nuggets as much as just great defense by the Clippers. The Clippers will eat you alive defensively, and they'll make you, as you said, work for every single bucket you get. None of it will come easy. You aren't going to get a lot of open looks. You'll get very few of them. But if you go to the hole, expect to have Kawhi's hand, PG-13, Lou, Beverly, Montrezl Harrell. You're going to have just a cluster of dinosaurs right there. And as we've seen, their defense, the Clippers' defense, is much more and far superior than the Denver Nuggets offense, and that's what's really frustrated Denver offensively so much. On the other side of the ball, though, Eric, I feel like we're not giving enough credit to what Kawhi Leonard's doing offensively. He's just been on a tear.
Well, and even Paul George has elevated his game.
Yeah.
Or he is effective. His shot's going down better. He just seems to be more connected to what's going on offensively for the Clippers than he did in their first round. They've got a lot of guys they can throw at you. Montrezl Harrell, I mean, man, that guy, he gets up in the air and you don't think he's going to be able to do anything, and somehow he positions himself to flip it in there. And so just aggressive, attacking the basket, making things work. That's what that Clippers team's about.
All right, Eric, let's hear it. Got a prediction for this game as it is already hit tip-off now?
I think it'll be Clippers by 10. I think they close it out. And it'll feel like it's not that close. Denver will try to make a game of it late, but I think the Clippers will do what the Jazz were unable to do and close it out in Game 5.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you got a gentleman's. I think this thing's taken care of. I don't look what the Lakers are doing right now tells you one thing: they're going to finish off their series. That's what they're going to do. So the Clippers want to follow suit, so they have plenty. They have equal to or the amount of rest that they need to be ready for the Western Conference Finals, a much anticipated Western Conference Finals. As you got Anthony Davis and LeBron James versus Kawhi Leonard and PG-13 in Florida. I wish that's one series I wish was in LA. That's one series I really wish was in LA. That'd be so much fun. All right, Eric.
What about the later one?
Yeah, Boston was up 2
Toronto.
games to none. Things were looking great and rosy. This series was predicted to go 6. Some said 7. And then Boston found themselves in front. Toronto made a comeback, and then in Game 3, this happened.
Back here, Marcus Smart's going to stay up high, taking anybody coming to the ball.
Series on the line. Anunoby got it off, and it goes! Did it count is the question.
It did count. 104-103 was your final. Boston then led the series 2 games to 1. No big deal, right? You're still in front. You still got the better team. You should be all right. Then a hangover occurred for Boston, and they lose Game 4. So now you're tied at 2 apiece. Boston trounces Toronto in Game 5, and everyone said, okay, well, we're back to the world is right again. Kyle Lowry and the squad then just gritted out in Game 6 in a double overtime win behind Kyle Lowry's spectacular 39 points. And now we go to a Game 7 tonight. This is everything expected and that everybody wanted it to be between these two very, I would say, veteran squads, but also heavyweight teams in the Eastern Conference, Eric.
I think for Boston, if they're going to close this out, I think a lot of it is on Kemba Walker's shoulders.
That's tough to ask, too.
2 of 11 in Game 6. He played 52 minutes, and he only got 2 shots. He only made 2 shots. I mean, that's your starting point guard. This is a guy that's been in the league for a while. They need him to come through. If they're going to win the series, if Kemba Walker has a good game, a normal Kemba Walker game. Because Jaylen Brown is playing above his weight. Marcus Smart has been hitting above his weight. Jason Tatum doing what he normally does. But for this Boston Celtics team to close this out, I think it's really going to be more on Kemba Walker than anybody else. For Toronto, the question for both teams really is who got the most rest? Who managed their time off the best? So who's going to have gas in the tank tonight after a marathon game 2 nights ago? And so for Toronto, it's how well will they manage their bench? Will they be able to get some help so Kyle Lowry can take a breather once in a while? Because he did not sit at all in the second half or overtime. So, what can Fred VanVleet do to give Kyle Lowry a break?
Well, speaking of not sitting, remember, Brad Stevens, his final substitution came with 25.3 left in the third quarter. That was subbing in Theis and Kemba Walker. He didn't make a substitution the rest of the night, and that game went into double overtime. So it's more of who's got more fatigue, who can last a little bit longer. Last man standing match tonight. in Game 7. And expect it to be physical, too. The hope I have for this game, Eric, and we've talked about it before, let the players decide the game.
Yes.
Stay the heck out of the way.
The referees have not been great, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Oh, boy, and they've been hearing it, too.
In the semifinals.
The NBA's been hearing it.
So, I agree. I let them play. Let them decide their own fate. In the end, I think it is Boston who gets to win. I think they've been, even though this is a Game 7, which you could argue it's been anybody's series, I think that Boston has been more in control than Toronto has been. So I think this is Boston's series to win, Toronto's to lose.
Ooh. Okay, so who wins Game 7 tonight then? You have Boston?
Yes, I just said this is Boston's series to
win.
win.
Okay,
Sorry.
we said,
Sorry, I wasn't very clear. Yes, I'm picking Boston tonight, but I think it'll be close. I think it'll be less than 5 points.
Yeah, I have Boston. I don't know why I have Boston either. I can't give you a good reason why I have Boston. Talent-wise, they're better on this court, but right now, all the momentum is sitting on the Raptors side. All of it. Like, the Raptors were down in this series, and they were left dead in the water. Down 0-2 in this series. They get a lucky three, if you want to call it that, on a great pass from Kyle Lowry. And then they're down 2-1. They clawed a 2-2. Then they get trounced in Game 5. And have to scrap for every minute of it in Game 6 in double overtime just to bring it to a Game 7. But still, I think they have an insane amount of confidence. But again, so did the Utah Jazz when they were up 3-1. We saw how that went.
Yep.
So it could be a dangerous one. That game will be at 7 p.m. tonight. That will be on TNT. Boston Celtics, Toronto Raptors, Game 7. Winner gets the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 1 would be Sunday. If I'm not mistaken, they're going every other day with this. So not only do you have to play Game 7 tonight and duke it out with your nemesis, but then you have to turn around, clean up, rest up, go through a walkthrough and film, and get ready for Miami, who's been sitting on their wonderful, comfy hotel couches waiting for you. That's tough to do. And I think we saw with the Nuggets after they went through a brutal series with Utah how exhausting it can be to turn around and go face a team who has been resting forever. How long?
By the way, we had some question about Michael Malone.
Oh, okay.
And Michael Porter Jr.'s comments.
Yeah.
Here's a comment from Coach Malone.
Okay.
Obviously, during the playoffs, the last thing you want is any type of a distraction. It is much better to keep those conversations internal, in the locker room, and amongst ourselves. Close quote. He's not happy.
Nor should he be. Why would you say that? Like, look, and he probably is right. He has been an efficient scorer, though he sucks on defense. But and especially if you're a rookie. Especially if you're a rookie and you watch Jamal Murray and Jokic duking it out with the rest of the Clippers offense, you can't go out there and be like, well, I'm not getting enough touches. I wish I'd be able to touch the ball more. You know, Jamal Murray's shooting it a lot. Jokic is shooting it more. I should be able to shoot it. I'm a rookie. And that's the thing is, and when the reporter asked him the question of what gives you feel like the stance that you can be able to say these things, well, I've played starter minutes. I bet you Murray and Jokic punched a hole through a wall. They're like, excuse me, I baking powder? Really?
He's played well in the bubble, and
holy crap,
he's gotten a big ego over it. Bit of a reality check, I think, after the game with conversations with his coach and the rest of his team.
Hey, we're gonna go to break here in just a moment. I gotta read you this though. Bleacher Report came out with must trades for teams to be able to get better who are out of the playoffs right now. Listen to this one. Boston Celtics would receive power forward Tobias Harris in the 2021 first-round lottery-protected pick. That'd be via the 76ers. The 76ers would receive Mike Conley. The Utah Jazz would get, wait for it, Gordon Hayward. They say Hayward's return to the Jazz would give the team another playmaker and scorer besides Donovan Mitchell, whose 36.5 points per game weren't still enough to get Utah into the second round. Swapping Harris for Conley would be a huge money saver for the Sixers, who would avoid the final 4 years of his deal and land a veteran point guard to run things if Ben Simmons stays at the power forward. And Boston Celtics take on a long-term salary, but the Celtics would create enough space to help with the massive Jason Tatum extension that they're going to be signing here within the next year to two.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen.
Freaking way Does the Jazz say, hey, Gordon, listen, know that, you still have that $128 million contract that's still laying on the table thanks to your horrible GM over there in Boston, but we'd love to take you even though you left us out to dry. That'd be great. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, never mind all that bad blood from the way you left us.
Yeah, and what do you think the crowd's going to do? Like, hey, welcome back, Gordon. It's good to see ya. Yeah, that's not going to happen. There is no way. Why would... Okay, let me ask you something here. What would be harder? Would it be the Jazz needing to... Would it be the Jazz needing to... Or not Jazz. Celtics needing to give away Gordon Hayward? Or would it be not wanting to give away Gordon Hayward? Would they depart with Gordon Hayward because they want to? Or because they have to?
I think they would want to because he has not been anything what they hoped he would be. And some of it's just not his fault. I mean, he's just had several different injuries. Then the leg, then there was the wrist, and then he rolled his ankle. And
then there was a fractured finger or something like that, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, they've dumped a lot of money into this guy. He's come nowhere close to delivering what they'd hoped that he would, and they're just saddled with his salary. And meanwhile, they've got a lot of young studs that they want to try to keep. So I think that there would be a big temptation in Boston to try to move him.
All right, we got to take a long extended break as we get you ready for the second hour already, Eric. We're rolling up here on the second hour of the Full Court Press. When we come back, we'll wrap it up with the first hour. Second hour includes college football, a preview of what the weekend's going to look like. NFL football, a preview of what the weekend's going to look like, including some great games. And Region 11 football also gets into action tonight in Region Play. Couple of good games, trap games included. That's all coming up here on the Full Court Press on The Fan.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Ajay Salvesen.
If they had a better quarterback, they're probably Super Bowl champions.
Jimmy Garoppolo's not a good quarterback?
Kyle Shanahan clearly does not believe in the 49ers. Last year in the Super Bowl when they needed to throw it, he didn't throw it because Jimmy G can't.
That wasn't why he didn't throw it. It's because Kyle Shanahan gets in his own way. Devontae Freeman with Atlanta, when Kyle Shanahan, by the way, was the offensive coordinator, and they were supposed to what? Run it? And they decided to throw it?
Kyle Shanahan's one of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL. Yes, he is.
Nikes, I'm going to swear.
Weekdays from 4 to 6, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan, the new home for the Full Court Press. Weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Eric Frandsen and Ajay Salvesen here on the Full Court Press. Thanks for joining us, however and wherever you're doing so, for hour number one. Hour number two coming up shortly here. We'll get into college football, NFL football, and high school football. A lot of football over the weekend, and we're excited to preview it all for you. If you have missed any of our previous shows, you can go on to 106nthefan.com. Just click on the podcast, and you'll find all of it. You can go on to our podcast platform of Stitcher, iTunes, and Spotify. Type in Eric's name, my name, or the Full Court Press, and you'll...
Those are all updated?
Yep, those are all updated. Why?
Well, I just noticed earlier in the week that the last thing that was on there was from September 4th.
Shut up. Don't. Are you serious? When did you look?
2 days ago.
Okay. No, that's not right. That I've updated. I think I forgot to post the one where I was gone on Tuesday. That's the one show I haven't posted.
Pulling it up right now.
I missed Tuesday's show. I know that.
No, it's on there. Yeah, you're good.
But I missed Tuesday's show.
There's
I don't
10th,
think
there's the 9th. Then there's the 4th.
So it was the 4th? Because the 4th was a Friday, right?
So it's from the 4th to the 9th.
Yeah, 4th, 5th, 6th, 6th, 7th. We didn't have a show on the 7th because it was Labor Day.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
Labor Day was Monday, so we didn't have a show. At least you told me we didn't have a show.
No, we didn't have a show.
Tuesday I was gone. I forgot to post that show, and Wednesday we posted it.
Okay, so we just need to get Tuesday's show on there.
Yeah. Jeez, calm down.
Okay. Also, the podcast from Ethan Dursteller with Spencer Cox is on there too.
Yeah.
If you want to go find that.
Yeah, we're going to tag that. We're going to put those on there. His next interview will be with another good guest who, some will like him, some won't, but we'll have him on there.
He'll
anyway.
talk to some person, and it'll be an interview that'll be recorded with microphones and placed online.
Hey, by the way,
for later listening.
Jimbo Slice. During the offseason, he's even really good. Everyone on the Utah Jazz was 13 years old or younger on 9/11/01. Tony Bradley was 3. In unrelated news, Derek Fisher lied to 3 teams to get out of his contract. God, I miss that guy. Oh, he's so good. All right, let's go ahead and close it up for the first hour. Get you for hour number 2, Football Hour.
You need help.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. As strange as this NFL season already is, it was business as usual for the Chiefs last night. They picked up right where they left off with an impressive 34-20 win over the Texans. The only differences were the impressive rookie running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the fact that Coach Andy Reid was wearing a fogged-over face shield. We're not sure what Coach could and could not see, but it was all good for Kansas City and all bad for Houston. The Texans looked lost offensively without their star receiver DeAndre Hopkins, who they traded in the offseason. Their defense had no answers. It was a statement win for the Chiefs. They're the biggest favorites to win the Super Bowl again. But when you actually see them beat a team in so many different ways, it's a reminder of how hard they're going to be to knock off. The NFL is back, and after one night, it sure seems like the road to the Super Bowl in Tampa could be headed through the Kansas City Chiefs again. I'm Dan Patrick, and this